You know, I shouldn't be surprised. I should not in the slightest bit be surprised that whatchamacallit, that as soon as I jump back into the stage, my internet starts being unresponsive. Because I'm pretty sure that's what happened some of the other times I tried doing this stage. But that means I need to go back and fiddle with my backup phones. Because I usually have like one phone displaying my stream, and then a backup phone in case the phone dies. And then what's more annoying is I keep forgetting that my start-stop timer key is not the same as the pause key, so I had to kind of try and remember what time it was at whenever I stopped. Give me 1 second to go fix something. Coolio. Coolio, everything's broken. Alright, so where was I? I already explained my hotfixed setup for how I have the death counter working. I already asked about when are we getting an update to Mario Maker 2 that'll add new tools that we can play around with. Usually when I play this stage, I have something to complain about. I think when I first started, it was the Sonic movie. Dang it. So I guess now I can complain about the Sonic movie. I still find it really funny that they even thought that original design was good in the first place. I've heard some people try to claim that, you know, the first design was... Are you kidding me? That the first design was purposefully bad and they knew it was bad and they were going to change it anyway. Then why is it... Oh god, why is the timer red? Why is my controller off? Ah, crap. Hey. Game. My controller. I'm pressing buttons. God dang it. This stage is the scourge of my existence. This capture card's the scourge of my existence too, because I accidentally broke its colors earlier. And I had to try and fix them. Alright, so, let's fix everything, shall we? Where's the pause key? There it is. Edit splits. So if I unpause, that should mean... Good, it's green. The color I like. Which also means I need to go 744 plus 1 equals that. Start auto splitter. Reset auto splitter for a second. Let's get Luigi out of here. Why can't I run? Oh, because I already had the B button pressed and I had to let go of it and repress it. Okay. And now we start auto splitter. Get the calculator up. And now everything's working the way it should be. Hopefully. Hope is all I have anymore, really. Maybe once I finally upload this stage, all of my technical difficulties will go away. It'll just be a blight. Dang it. Sometimes I honestly consider making that part of the stage easier, even though I know it's possible and I've done it before and there's video evidence of me doing it before. Sometimes I just think maybe it's too hard, because that is, I'm pretty sure, the most common point of death in the entire stage. Dang it. So yeah, I don't subscribe to the theory that the Sonic movie had an intentionally bad design at the beginning. And if there was an intentionally bad design, I don't think they intended for it to be $5 million worth of reanimation bad. Now mind you, $5 million worth of reanimation might sound like a lot, but I'm fairly certain such prices for reanimation have been done in films before. Like, I can't remember how much money it cost to reanimate Shrek, but I know Mike Myers suggested, hey, what if I did this entire film with an accent? Like, I know I have all my lines recorded, but what if? And because of that, they had to redo all the animation, because they already had all the lip sync done, or at least most of the lip sync done for all of his lines, and now suddenly his lines are very slightly different and require different lip syncing. Now mind you, I still think Sonic's design is far from perfect. I still subscribe to the theory that realism need not apply. But it's a better design than the original, and at this point I don't think they're going to redesign him again. And besides, most people are happy with this. Just unfortunately, I am not most people. Other things to complain about. Animal Crossing Pocket Camp. Why? Like, I get it, they want to make money off of their video game, and I get it, the mobile market does not like the idea of having an upfront price. The mobile market, the most common users of mobile devices, and even people who are used to, you know, playing games on other systems, still see the mobile market as, you know, free to start only. As, like, that is the platform for, you start a game free, and if you enjoy it, you pay for it. Which, sure, I get is a good idea, but then that means you need to make the product good in order for people to pay for it, which also isn't a bad idea. However, if your product is bad to begin with, and then you charge money for what makes it better, then I feel you're doing it wrong. That is what is not good in my opinion. I feel your product should be perfectly fine and usable and good and enjoyable on its own. And then the additional monetization extends the experience. Animal Crossing Pocket Camp in and of itself is a boring game. It scratched the itch for a while, and it'll scratch the itch until March 20th. Once March 20th rolls around, I honestly don't know if I'll keep playing that game. Maybe if, like, Google Play Points offers some discount on the service, or, like, here's increased points if you purchase this specifically. I guess another thing I can complain about is the whole YouTube situation with the FTC. While I understand that this is a really big problem for people who make their living on YouTube as a platform, and I have no place to try and say, oh, well, you shouldn't have put all your eggs in one basket, that is not what I am intending to say at all. Rather, YouTube, you shouldn't have put your eggs in one basket. YouTube, maybe you shouldn't have been collecting user data. YouTube, maybe you shouldn't have been trying to track down all the analytics of every single video and sell it to the highest bidder. Because it's impossible. There's no way to verify the age of whoever is watching your video without even further methods of, user data cultivation, which is currently illegal in the United States. Unless you are capable of hacking into their cameras to use facial recognition technology, record their keystrokes to know how competent they are at spelling, and browse other apps in order to try and determine the age of the user watching your video, there's no way to verify the age. The only other way you can verify the age is if you have to require a social security number in order to create an account. Because then they can refer back to, at wherever, whatever government, because there are different different countries have their own variation of Social Security. But unless you require that, or some, proof of ID when you create your account, you can just lie. Everyone just lied. I'm pretty sure I still have accounts to this day where I lied on the RU13 check. Or maybe that's just Gaia Online. Maybe DeviantArt. I can't remember anymore. I haven't been 13 in a decade. Can't remember how many accounts I made pre-Scouts versus how many accounts I have now. How many of them asked me, "Are you 13?" But even if a user says they're over 13, again, it's stupidly easy to lie. So, something that would definitely solve all of YouTube's problems about accidentally cultivating user data of children is just don't cultivate user data. I get it, most of YouTube's finance is structured around that. Maybe that's not such a good thing. Maybe you shouldn't be harvesting every single bit and byte of user data that you can possibly get your hands on to sell to the highest bidder. Maybe that's just, I don't know, a shitty thing to do. But what do I know? Honestly, I feel YouTube brought this upon themselves, and if they're gonna live by the sword, they're gonna die by the sword. I get that if YouTube goes down because of this, that, it'll really send ripples across the internet as a whole. Like, everyone will have to scatter around to find new places to upload their videos, kind of like how all the NSFW artists had to scatter when Tumblr purged itself. Which, holy crap, that's nearly a year old now. I think I may have posted somewhere that I didn't expect this to last a year, but I might actually be wrong about that. But to be perfectly honest, I honestly didn't expect YouTube to last as long as it did anyway. Sure, with something as big and as prominent and as widely used as YouTube, like, the bigger it gets, the more it's gonna hurt when it falls. You know, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. That's a saying for a reason. However, nothing is forever. There will be a day where YouTube goes away. And my phone's going off. I haven't died yet. Shut up, phone. Alright. My biggest concern with this whole YouTube thing is if for some reason I get banned or YouTube, you know, actually does go down. Because I currently don't have all my videos archived. I'm currently not taking requests at the moment. I keep telling myself that I want to, but I never get around to installing the bot that everyone uses. And I don't have any other means of people sending levels other than just putting them in chat and then me looking and scrolling up if I ever get that much chat to begin with. Currently, I'm just trying to see if I could upload this stage, because I've had this stage sitting on my Wii U hard drive for years, and I recreated it for Mario Maker 2. But maybe if I finish this stage, because I usually don't get a lot of chat anyway. There just isn't a command. If you try using the popular excited mark @ command, then I'll have a different bot to tell you, hey, I'm not taking requests. See, like, that jump there with, like, the 5 spike blocks, that's where I die the most, but I've made it to the end of this stage before. I made it to the final jump and screwed up. Once. I know every single jump in this stage is possible, because I've done each and every one of these jumps individually. I've just only done 90% of them in succession once. Or 99% of them, I guess. Yeah, this jump right there, and then this follow-up jump is the hardest part of the entire stage. And it's all because they adjusted the hitbox of the spikes. Like, those 2 springs were much easier to hit in Mario Maker 1. But due to the increased hitbox on them, the timing is a lot tighter. Which on one hand means my stage is harder, yay! On the other hand, it means my stage is harder, oh! Like, the stage is hard enough. Like, I don't even have a subworld on this stage. I got to the end of my stage and was like, okay, do I want to add a subworld? And I looked at it and I was like, no, this is hard enough. I could add a subworld. I could be evil and do that. But I looked at this and was like, this is hard enough. You know, maybe someone like, I don't know, who streams Mario Maker 2 other than Penga? Like Grand Pooh Bear? Sagan? Maybe they could look at this and go, heh, this is easy. But, like, I can't beat any of their stages at all. If I wanted to make it harder, I could also decrease the time limit, but I felt like keeping it as high as it could go as a sign of leniency. I haven't had the weird desync happen yet where that skewer goes up past the thwomp and kills you. I forget what causes that desync. Dang it. I think after 6 collective hours of trying this stage, I'm still used to the Mario Maker 1 timing of that jump, because I could get it somewhat consistently. I could get it more consistently than the jump before it. You know, another kind of annoying thing about, like, recreating this stage is they updated how piranha plants work, so you could stick them to walls. But I didn't want them to stick to walls because they weren't stuck to walls in Mario Maker 1. So in order to get around that, I actually had to attach a parachute to all of those piranhas that are next to walls. That's why the preview image, when this eventually does get uploaded, will show them with parachutes. Because despite the fact that they are already directly on the ground, I had to attach a parachute so they would land on the ground in the proper place. And not be, you know, jetting out of the wall, potentially making the jumps easier or harder. Dang it! Also, in Mario Maker 1, I could just fill in all the blocks at the beginning so it would force you down the shaft. Like, every time I get past this jump here, I usually make it to the secondary shaft, because there are 2 shafts you have to climb up. 3 shafts, I'm an idiot. I can't count. But I can usually make it to the second shaft. But at that point I'll then die at the second set of thwomps. Because I get so little experience playing that part of the stage that I keep forgetting how it's timed. And I actually had to tweak that part of the stage because it wasn't working correctly in Mario Maker 2, and I don't know why. I also have no idea what to tag this stage. I'm thinking of adding the multiplayer versus tag to this, even though it'll be basically impossible if anyone else is in your way. It also just won't be basically impossible if anyone else is in your way. It'll be actually impossible if someone's able to clear the quote-unquote boss at the end of the stage. Because then no one else will be able to get through because of the way it's designed. I'll still probably throw a versus tag on it anyway. I can't remember if P-switches respawn in versus. If they do, then it's still it still might be broken. Because, like, the whole end of the stage is you need to activate a platform to transport a P-switch to a specific location, but you need to wait out the P-switch getting to the location without dying. Like, I give you a mushroom and a shelmet And if you really know what you're doing, you can smuggle yourself a second Shelmet. However, the Shelmet is a blessing and a curse because it'll also, like, defeat an enemy that you need to ride on with spin jumps. Dang it. Though the other downside is I don't know how lenient Nintendo is with stage deletion in Mario Maker 2. Because I remember one of my stages in Mario Maker 1, I had to re-upload like 3 times. Because they just kept deleting it because of insufficient plays. And after the 3rd time around, it got enough plays and they didn't delete it, and I believe it's still up to this day. Like, if I pull up the Mario Maker bookmark website, the stage will still be there. Speaking of bookmarks, when the heck are we getting one for Mario Maker 2? Like, I still think that they'll just put it on the Nintendo Online app. Like, you'll have to use your phone to do it, but when are we getting it? When are we getting anything about Mario Maker 2? It took us like 3 months just to get multiplayer. Or like, better multiplayer. In massive air quotes. How long did it take for the first update to Mario Maker 1 to come out? Like, where is the other staff for Mario Maker? I don't think it's the Splatoon / Animal Crossing staff. Like, who knows, maybe the Mario Maker staff is busy working on a Zelda Maker. Like, maybe they're taking all that criticism that people are giving from Link's Awakening, like, yeah, this is cool, but can we do more with it? Like, can you give us a more fleshed out thing? Because the only reason why this is why we're kind of upset about this is because it's just not good enough. It's not that it's a bad idea, it's that we want more out of it. Which, if I were a game dev, I'd say, okay, I can make an entire game out of this. But this is Nintendo we're talking about, and this will probably mean, okay, this will never come back ever, thanks. Or I guess that's more of a Game Freak thing than a Nintendo thing. I promise that I won't spend a tremendous amount of time complaining about Game Freak. But that's not to say I won't mention them every now and then. Like, for real, I hope that this stage gets played by people who play hard stages, because I would love to see how many tries it takes someone like Penga or someone like Pooh Bear to do this jump. Not this jump. I died on that jump anyway, but not that jump. Not that jump. Like, I also want to figure out how long it'll take people to realize, oh, you can do a spin wall jump. Because you don't need to do a spin wall jump in any stage in New Super Mario Brothers. Can you do the little twirly jumps and, like, the spin jumps and twirly jumps in New Mario 2? I don't think you can. Or maybe you can. The 3DS has a gyroscope. Or maybe it was just on the R button. I honestly can't remember. I haven't booted that game up in years. Oh god, I desynced it. And I almost saved it. Well, so far, my mental fortitude seems to be holding up pretty well against the stage. Like, I had to pull up my last stream of playing the stage to try and figure out what timer to set the timer at and how many deaths to put on the counter. Or more specifically, tries. It's not entirely accurate to call it a death counter because the final attempt that succeeds will still increment the counter by 1. Because I couldn't quite get my setup to read deaths, but I could get it to read tries. Which is basically just deaths minus 1. Or no, deaths plus 1. I'm not good at math. Dang it. Sometimes I think about trying to set up a hand cam. It's like you could see my inputs. Or at least some input reader, but the problem is I'm using a third-party Pro Controller that does not like to connect to literally anything else besides my Nintendo Switch. Dang it. Dang it. And no, in case you're wondering, if you just get yourself up there, you do not have enough momentum from holding right to make that jump. You need to use the spring. Preferably the bottom spring, because I don't think I've ever made the jump with the top spring, but I need to make it 2 springs, or else the hitbox of the spikes will be too big, even in Mario Maker 1, and then it'd just be impossible. But from every attempt that I've made that has gone past those springs, if the top spring is the one that animates, chances are you're probably not going to make the jump. Now mind you, there might be a very slight case of me being wrong. There might be a very specific instance where it could work. I've never seen it, but I won't put it past this game. Dang it. I also had to reconfigure the tool I used for doing the death counter because it would not recognize the image to high enough threshold because I had to fiddle with the video settings of my capture card. As it stands right now, I think the colors are okay. I still don't think they're perfect, and they may only look okay for the new Super Mario Bros. U style of gameplay. But that's just what happens when you buy a cheap capture card on Amazon instead of a name brand capture card on Amazon. Who knows, maybe if I become applicable for earning that sweet Twitch cash, I can put that towards getting better equipment. But in order to do that, I need redacted number of followers and redacted number of average viewers. I'm actually not sure if I have to redact those, but I'm going to anyway. I think the only reason I would need to redact them is so that way people don't feel obligated. Which, by the way, you should never feel obligated for anything on the internet ever. Like, to be frank, there's just a lot of things you don't need to feel obligated for. If it does not affect your life directly, or your way of living, you technically should not feel obligated. Now, that might have some people go, oh, well, technically this election won't affect me. And while sure, your local stuff may or may not affect the things you do on a daily, it might affect other things that will affect the things you do on a daily. Think of things to the extreme sometimes. I'm not good at giving political advice. TLDR, if someone says, if you like this content, please subscribe, you don't have to. They're gonna keep making the content anyway, because if they enjoy making the content, they will continue to make the content. If money is the only reason they are making content, then chances are they probably don't enjoy making the content. And thusly, you would technically be putting them into a situation in which they're doing something they do not like to do anyway. So thinking of it like that, is it really a good idea to subscribe? That's for you to decide, not me. I'm like the worst person for like, you know, trying to do YouTube stuff like that, because I would just be the antithesis. It's like, whereas everyone would be like, oh, thumbs up and subscribe, I'd be like, no, leave me alone. If you like my video, then watch it and leave. If you really have something that you need to tell me, then put it in the comments and I'll probably read it, but just don't like for the sake of liking. Like if you actually like a video. And if you don't, I don't care. Unless specified otherwise. Hang it. Like, I've never gotten used to... It's like, the inputs I need to do for that specific jump... you need to hold the direction of the wall that you're trying to jump off of. And then you need to hold the opposite direction in order to get enough momentum to go there anyway. But you need to let go of that direction at some point, or else you will go careening into the spikes. However, just letting go of the button isn't enough to stop you from careening into the spikes. You need to actively press the other direction. So I just haven't muscle memoried the proper point in which I need to start canceling momentum, in order to have the just right amount of momentum to bounce off of the piranha and hit the springs, and then reapply the direction, carry the momentum off to the next part of the stage, which you can kind of see as I go up the shaft. I honestly thought I was going to scrape that spike that I have there, but I didn't. I think at about 830 deaths, I'm gonna need to refresh the death counter. Because I think it'll be able to count about 100 or maybe like anywhere from 90 to 100 deaths before it breaks. Because it's not meant to be used this way. It's not a death counting software. It is a speedrunning software designed to watch your gameplay feed, and when you do something that you would normally hit the split for, like collect a shine sprite or find an upgrade in Super Metroid, rather than you having to divert your attention so you can hit a button and hit it with good timing so it matches the rest of your splits, this software will look at the video feed and press the button for you. Which I have then hijacked its capability of doing that to, instead of looking for accomplishment, it looks for the start of the stage. And every time the stage reloads and it sees that, it presses a button, which is then intercepted by a calculator, where it is constantly running the equation answer +1. So every time I die, my computer basically every time I die, the software sees that I started over, hits a button, my calculator sees that button and says, okay, 824 plus 1 equals 825. I've also made setups for this software for you to be able to EV train in Pokemon Generation 3, or more specifically Ruby Sapphire and Emerald, because the UI is different in Fire Red Leaf Green. I might be able to further tweak it to allow it to work in Fire Red Leaf Green as well. I also think I have it set to specifically look for Manectric. And again, I could further tweak it to just allow a general "you KO'd this Pokemon" counter, which you could then apply to EV training, or if someone ROM hacks the game to add combos like Sword and Shield. Speaking of which, I could probably also retool this program to be a counter, assuming Sword and Shield doesn't have such a counter. I've not seen enough gameplay to know if there's a counter, because quite frankly I don't care enough. But in case there's no counter, I can make a counter, and then I can share my findings with the world. I don't know why I like jerry-rigging things so much. But if I were to take a picture of, like, my entire desk setup, I could probably give a couple hour-long speech on things that are jerry-rigged. Like, I could probably count at least 3 to 5 examples of things in my office that are jerry-rigged, and then give hour-long explanations for each of them. Okay, maybe not hour-long. Depends on how much pause I have between my words for breathing and beverage intake. Speaking of which, I don't have a beverage right now. That might be something good to grab, because I don't have Hydration Bot. Okay, I'm gonna take a quick second to refresh the death counter. And basically when I say refresh the death counter, it's literally just stop auto-split and restart auto-split. So it goes back to the beginning of the file list of split images. Because I don't think AutoSplit currently has an ability to repeat a split image. Sorry if you can hear my dog in the background. Oh, you can. Cool. I was looking at not Discord, OBS to see if his barks were audible. I have no idea what his problem is. I'm guessing mom's not home. Because ever since our other dog died, he's been a little bit more lonely. Like, he already gets bad separation anxiety when mom goes somewhere. But ever since the other dog had to be put down, he's been a little bit worse. But now is not the time for talking of dead pets. I guess as a minor bit of context so no one gets sad, she lived a long, happy life. She was 14 and a half, she was happy, she was fine. But dogs get to that age, you know? She's in a better place now. Depending on your religion. I could probably fiddle with my mic settings to lower the noise gate, I think that'd be. So he wouldn't be audible. The problem is, I don't know how loud I need to be audible. I know I'm currently being heard right now, but I don't know how much adding a noise gate would screw with that. Dang it. I honestly think that that's not the most evil thing in this stage. I could make it the most evil thing in this stage by making the thing I'm currently thinking of more forgiving. But the most evil thing of this stage is the final jump. Because you're given no warning. It's one shot. And then you're expected to remember, or even know. I think you can go through this entire stage up until that point using spin wall jumps. And that is the first point in the entire stage where you are required to do a normal wall jump. Which it functions the same as a spin wall jump. You still need to hold the direction of the wall when you press the button, but instead of pressing the spin jump button, you need to press the normal wall jump button. Like, that's the most evil point in the stage. Simply because I don't tell you about it. And I could tell you about it. I could give you a prompt. I could try to give some prompt to indicate, hey, do a normal jump. Like a normal wall jump and not a spin wall jump. Except I don't know how. Because for some people, the A button is a run button, which I'll never understand. Oh no, the A button is always a jump button, I think. It's the B button that's sometimes a jump button. It's like A and Y are the only two consistent buttons for jump and run, respectively. X and B can be swapped. I've always grown up holding B to run and pressing A to jump, which is why Mario World always screws with me. Well, except for the Game Boy version of that game. The Game Boy Advance version, B is run and A is jump, and everything's fine and good. But the Super Nintendo version is like, I have to press B to jump? Well, I'm sorry, it's almost like I just got done playing Super Mario Brothers, or Super Mario Brothers 2, or Super Mario Brothers 3. You've already ingrained into my memory that the B button is for running, and the A button is for jumping. Like, Mario 64 DS also screwed with me, because in Mario 64, A is jump and B is punch. In Mario 64 DS, okay, I guess I never played enough of Mario 64 for that to be applicable to me, but it still kind of stands that in the original, A is jump, B is punch. In Mario 64 DS, B is jump and Y is punch. I think. It's been a while since I played Mario 64 DS. But it's like, it's universally known nowadays that A is jump and B is run. Huh. I don't know why I pressed A there. I just kind of did. Dang it. To be honest, I never expected this stage to take this long, or at least I don't think I did. I think my guess was like, oh, this will probably take 5 hours, maybe 500 deaths. In Mario Maker 1. But again, I've done like 3 to 4 hour streams of Mario Maker 1 trying to upload the stage. Oy. I'll get it eventually. I'll never succeed if I don't try. Likewise, I'll never fail if I don't try, but, you know, tomato, tomato. Hold up 1 second. Just need to position my mouse over a specific location, if in the event I need to mute myself. Like, I wish I could set the individual buttons on my mouse to be different colors. I think there's enough, like, diodes and lights and LEDs and stuff. I think that's a diode. I think there's enough diodes in the mouse for me to be able to reasonably specify what segment of the light board gets colored what. But it doesn't let me, so it's neat. If I could color code the buttons on my mouse, then I could more easily remember what they do, instead of just having to muscle memory it. Because that always sucks whenever my friends rope me into playing Destiny, and I'm like, crap, what's my super button? Well, it's this on the keyboard. Yeah, I know it's this on the keyboard, but I also have it bound to my mouse. Dang it. Bill too low. Bill too low. Dang it. Like, I think I'm starting to get the hang of... See, I don't even have clever names for all of these jumps, so I can accurately describe the ones I'm talking about. I just need to hope that I'm near them, so I can describe them. I think I've gotten the hang of that jump that I just did, that I just succeeded. Because right now, I'm at a safe point. You can, like, press left, no, right, against this little patch of ball up here that won't kill you, and then you can just chill here for as long as you need. I can never muscle memory that. I got enough of it down to hit the top spring, but as you can see, you don't clear the muncher if you hit the top spring. You need to specifically be able to hit the small spring, which I've done. I don't feel like scrubbing through... God, nearly 12 hours of footage. Over 12 hours. Ugh. Nearly a day's worth of footage. Spent that long on this stage. Dang it. So I kind of have Twitter in the background here, because I need to have, like, 4 different programs open. So I can see that on my Twitter feed, The Elder Scrolls Blades has won an award. Neat. When's it coming out on Switch again? Like, I've played it on my phone. I pre-registered for it, and then when it told me my phone wasn't compatible, I downloaded it off the internet. It's a free game anyway. And then eventually it became compatible with my phone. I had fun with what I played up until I started running into spiders and was like, God dang it, of all the enemies to bring back, why did it have to be spiders? I always figured, why do I only talk when I die? Anyway, I kind of always figured, once it comes... Well, that's the first time that's happened to me. Kind of figured I'd get back into it when it comes out on Switch, because apparently there will be save data transfer. The problem is, it hasn't come out on Switch yet. I think that's the closest I've been to hitting the bottom spring. God, you know what'd suck? If they tweaked the physics ever so slightly to make this stage now impossible. I don't have any way of knowing, other than conceding and changing the level design a little. Or just trying and trying and trying and trying until I eventually get it. But that only proves that they didn't. Or that it's still doable. It doesn't prove that it's impossible. Won't be impossible until we have tool-assisted capabilities of Switch games. Which I think it is technically possible to feed this game frame-perfect inputs. But not much of a way to really see the difference between frame-perfect inputs in a easily discernible and convenient manner. Oh god, I think one of my backup phones died. Well, let's find out. Yep, that one died. What about the other ones? The other one's still kicking? Other one's still kicking, good. God, that jump is just the pickiest thing in the entire level. It's like, on one hand, I'm happy that I have the hardest jump in the stage so early on. So if you can get past that, you can basically clear the entire thing. But on the other hand, it's like, God, why is it so picky? The rest of this entire stage is not that hard. Like, sure, it's difficult to learn how... It's kind of difficult to learn and get used to the idea of spin wall jumping. Sure, these jumps are kind of tricky until you kind of learn what you need to do for them. But it's this jump that's so particular, that's so fine in its movement, that it makes the rest of the stage... It's gonna be the deciding factor of this stage. That's probably where all the death markers are gonna be. It's probably gonna be where most people give up. And perhaps it'll be a bit easier if I just put a third spring there. Maybe a muncher. I'm not sure if munchers and spike traps have the same hitbox or not. I know one's considered a tile and one's considered an enemy. Dang. It's like, on one hand, I'd like to keep my level design consistent and not bend. Like, I know it's possible, I've done it before, I just gotta do it again. Just don't want to bend to the difficulty of the stage to make it easier. But on the other hand, I'm dying so much to it. And then when I hit the spring, it's always the top one now. Yeah. Oh crap, how many deaths did it add to the counter there? Doesn't look like many, if any at all. Dang it. Oh crud, it hasn't been counting deaths because that's not the active window. Whoops. This is why having a dedicated mute yourself button would probably be a good idea. But I haven't set one up. My mouse has the compatibility for it. Like, the software for mapping the buttons on my mouse says, like, hey, you can have specific functions in OBS and Discord and whatever Overwolf is. Which literally just seems to be streaming tools. Like, Overwolf just seems like overlay kind of tools. What movie? God dang it. Why didn't I jump? Like, there are a ton of movies out in theaters today. Okay, cool. I don't give a shit about Disney. So I guess sorry to anyone who watches this VOD. Spoilers. I don't give a shit. Is Shaquille O'Neal in the movie? Then I'll give a shit. However, I don't expect you to get that joke, so chances are I'm not gonna give a shit. Have I said shit enough? Yeah, who knows? Maybe when I upload the VOD to YouTube, I can just go into YouTube Studio and throw a censor over that. Just in case anyone else does give a shit. That jump. You know what, just for the sake of being a good Samaritan, probably the response you were expecting. Again, I don't give a shit. People might give a shit if they decide to watch my video, because this is gonna probably go up on YouTube almost, like, minutes after. It'll be a little bit extra work on my part too. Ah, dang it, the death counter isn't functioning. Forgot that this calculator has to be the active window. That's like the one downside I have with my current setup is the default calculator that Windows 10 comes with. Like, I need it to be the active window. It will not receive keyboard input unless it's the active window. And I have a feeling there's probably some other calculator program I could install that would allow me to feed input from the background. Or possibly even controller input. But I don't think I have any particular games with calculators in them. Literally, the only thing I could think of would be to try and think of any of my games on my DS have a calculator, because I know there are calculators on the DS. Can't remember if I have any games with calculators built into them that, like, aren't embedded into the touchscreen that I could feasibly bind a control to. Which again, sounds like kind of the most bass-ackwards way of doing things, but to be honest, 90% of my life is bass-ackwards. Why does my head hurt? Is this the beginning? Perhaps I just didn't drink enough water today. That's also very much a likely possibility. Oh, right, this can happen. Don't know why I wasn't looking at the screen to kind of make sure I was landing correctly, but that happened. The hitbox is in New Super Mario mode, or basically everything but 3D World mode, with very slight exceptions. Like, they're so odd at times. Like, technically speaking, all of those ledges with the piranhas on them, I can technically stand on all of them. There's like 1 pixel of clearance to do so. I don't think there's any pixel of clearance to stand on the munchers, however. Wow, why am I hitting that too low now? Now I hit it. That's always how my luck with this stage goes, is I'll think too much about a later jump, and then I'll completely forget how to do an earlier jump. Oh. Dang set of springs. Like, I honestly can't remember how long it's been since I've cleared that spring jump. I wonder, if I wanted to be speedy, could I just bounce off of that piranha with enough momentum so I don't go careening into the thwomp, but I can still, like, fall with it? Probably could. Thought I could save it. Probably could have, but not in that way. Okay, let's get all the funny deaths out of the way, I guess. Except I think I've died that way at least 3 times already today. See, that's another problem I've kind of noticed with me streaming the stage. Is I cannot put myself to it for as long as I normally stream. Because it typically tends to really screw with me. Like my mood and whatnot. If I'm not in a good mood, it's probably not a good idea that I'm streaming. I think I might be able to last to 1,000 deaths or so. It's like a ballpark estimation. And I also know I can't stream as long as I had intended to today because people are expecting me to do things around the house. So if I stream as long as I want to, they'll probably be like, Sonny, when the hell are you doing this? Which I'm not planning on skirting out of those chores. I still intend on doing them. They're just a little bit later than what some people would prefer. It's not to say they ain't getting done. Oh, I could've... That was really slick. I probably could've saved that. If I was really slick, I probably would've had the stage beaten like 900 tries ago. Will I be able to hit that spring today? Not even I can tell you. If I could tell you, I probably wouldn't be streaming today. I'd probably be out predicting the future for mad stacks of cash. You know, would I make mad stacks of cash if I sold my services as telling the future, even if I was able to prove that I had 100% accuracy? Because obviously people could just not believe me. And then if I told the future on things like sporting events, then, well, why would people even want to play if they know if I can tell you the outcome from the beginning, it might actually just crash the industry. No, instead what I'd have to do in order to make bank off of foresight would be gambling. Like, who's gonna win this game? Putting my life savings on Team A. Except I wouldn't be able to do that, because then that'd be suspicious. You need to make it look more believable. Okay, well that momentum tells me that I probably could... Oops. I could probably finagle getting the Thwomp to fall, and then fall down with it for speed. Does the Thwomp fall faster than me? Like, I almost want to test this. It does. Except, God, do I desync that. That was probably the slickest move I have ever done. Dang it. That would have been amazing if that was the clear run. But it was not turn. So now the question is, can I just skip across the Thwomp to get onto that Piranha? I'm developing new tech. Now I'm screwing up my own new tech. I think I'm gonna need to refresh auto split here in a sec. Dang it. Now my new tech is screwing with my muscle memory. I think that's a desync right there. You know, I guess this is just how speedruns are formed. Like, this is how people learn to get good at games. No, I can't just skip across. Or if I can, I'd need to get a very precise positioning as to be falling whenever I get to that point where the spike block is. Almost like that. I guess that isn't speed tech then, since you still have to ride the Thwomp back up. It's just swag tech. And you know what, sometimes... Oh, I just noticed that the auto splitter died. Sometimes all you need is a little speed tech. Or swag tech, as I was calling it. Just something to spice the tries up every now and then. Swag points. Dang it, I had the tall hop timed wrong. God, I'd love to see some of the swag tech you could do in this stage. Like, where can you throw in normal wall jumps for no other sake than just, why not? Like, I'm almost a bit curious myself. Oh, almost. Still too high. Still too high. Maybe I should just start on the left side. Okay, I'm gonna stop trying to do normal wall jumps up the shaft now. Just inflating the death count. It's probably faster to use spin jumps anyway. Too much of the momentum. See, if I could tell when I have too much momentum, I could just use the swag strat where I fall with Womp. But I can't tell when I have too much momentum. See, that time I thought I had too much momentum, and it turns out I didn't. That dang spike hitbox. Like, also, I would have started streaming earlier today, because, like, I'm trying to think when am I going to end for today. Because, like, OBS is telling me that I've only been live for, like, an hour 40. Which is wrong, because the internet cut out at, like, what was it, 20, 30 minutes in? Oy. Like, if I could figure out how to... The only adjustment I would feel like making right now would be somehow lowering the hitbox of the Muncher just a tiny bit. And only a tiny bit. I don't know how to do it. Because then you'd be able to make the jump with the top spring. Make it just a little bit more feasible. Still difficult, but feasible. Whereas if I just put a third spring there, I think that'd make it way too easy. Like, almost free. What? Hold on. I hit the bottoms. Oh my god. My only guess is that I hit the bottom spring, but was not holding left soon enough. Dang it. Oh, I didn't restart the timer. Alright, so does that mean I fiddle with the stage until I can make that smaller? Probably not, because I want this to be identical to Mario Maker 1. So I'd limit myself to only tools in Mario Maker 1. But I think there's some odd way to make that work. It might require stacking munchers. Or thwomps. I can't remember how you make ramps. Also can't remember how you do half these jumps. While I wait for this, I'm gonna reset Auto Splitter. Oh, waited too long. See, I can't even remember what what inputs I did to do that, like what the muscle memory was. All I can, like, the only kind of data I get from that to try and think on is, okay, that, but a little bit sooner. Yeah, if I don't clear this stage today, I'll probably tweak that. The stage is won. It's broken me to the point of wanting to change it. Question is, will I actually remember to change it? It's won the battle against my willpower, but has it won the battle against my memory? God, I've listened to the underground music of New Super Mario Bros. So much, I swear I'm starting to get subliminal messages out of it. Maybe it's just the noises that I'm hearing from this stage mixed with the sounds of the music. Like, I'm not discerning any message from it, but if I act any weirder, it's the first thing I'd want to investigate. Dang it. God, the input on that. So tight. Like, on one hand, I'm kind of impressed that I made something with such tight inputs. Like, something so flawless. But on the other hand, I want to make it a bit more flawed so it's easier. Like, I didn't intend to make something like, you know, Penga level hard. I just wanted to do something with spinning wall jumps, since, like, no one does anything with spinning wall jumps. thought the spinning wall jumps would be the hardest part of the stage. But this precise level of input, I didn't expect it. Oh dear. Now I can start to feel my fingers getting tired. Well, tired would imply that, like, they're actually falling asleep, that there's the pins and needles. More like sore. It's probably just from the little bits of frustration I get whenever I clamp a little bit harder down on the controller, and the resistance of the controller pressing against my nerves. Kinda reminds me of when the ARMS test punch came out. And I was playing it all day, and I had fun with it. I liked it. Not enough to buy ARMS, but I enjoyed what I played. Felt ARMS was just a little too lacking to want me to, you know, justify buying it at that price. ARMS is not a $60 game. Maybe 30 on a good day. 15 anytime else. Anyway, so I was playing it, and because I turned off motion controls, I was mashing the punch button. There's like a visible indent on my thumb because the Joy-Con buttons are smaller than that of a normal controller button. So I took a picture of, you know, me giving a thumbs up, but with the thumb with the indent on it. And Twitter marked it as sensitive content. Dang. I can subject myself to like 25 more tries or so. See, sometimes I think these tries only take a couple seconds and that I'd be done in a minute, but then, you know, I spend like a good 30 seconds per live. It's like, I think what I need to do, what I ought to do, is off-stream, I ought to practice that specific part of the stage until I can get it with 100% consistency. Then the rest of the stage will be a cakewalk. And to be honest, I'd probably remember to do that easier than I'd remember, hey, I need to get Pokemon ready. Like, I need to find Pokemon in Pokemon White, and then I need to dump my save file and copy of the game so I can trade it to myself on an emulator. Also make sure the emulator's trade functions actually work. But I guess I have a little bit more time than I normally would for that kind of thing. Yeah, it's set in stone. I'm gonna try to lower the height of that muncher. The only way I can think to do so right now is to replace those 2 blocks with a Bill Blaster. But now I'm just trying to think, what can I put in the Bill Blaster that will not help or hurt the player? All I can think of is coins. Or I could put in a Podoboo. And then it'll just be part of the timing. Like, I make one thing easier, so I have to make something else harder. But the level of difficulty added by a Podoboo being there would not be equal or greater than the level of difficulty by the height of the Muncher being there without the Bill Blaster, assuming the Bill Blaster is slightly shorter, which I believe it is. It's either the Bill Blaster or like a POW block. Something to just lower that Piranha plant. Not Muncher. Just lower that Muncher by a little tiny bit. Just a little bit. So you still need to have, you know, some precise input to hit the springs in the first place, but now the top spring would be functional. Fantastic. Okay. So anyway, I was talking about my schedule, and then I got distracted. Saturday is my last day of work for the year. Camp closed, dang it. Camp closes. And I probably won't be back until the training day for the new people. Which, like, probably won't be until... Like, I think I'll go back to work before Animal Crossing comes out. But I don't know... Like, my schedule just kind of ends on Saturday. I don't have any further updated schedule about what next year holds yet. Which is a bit odd, because last year, I was able to see a bit into the next year. And who knows, maybe this winter I'll actually remember to stream more. Because, like, the situations have changed a little bit. Last year I didn't stream at this time of day because my brother was always in the office with me. But he's since seemingly given up competitive Xbox Live, i.e. like Fortnite and Rocket League. Or at least he seems to be getting better about how loud he is doing it. That and the office is cold down here and he doesn't like being cold, so he moved on up to the bedroom. Which means I don't have him to worry about. You know, I still think that even by lowering that muncher, the top spring will still be the least effective way of doing that. But it still will be a little bit more possible. Just a little bit. Give you a little bit of a bone. Throw you a little bit of a bone. Also, I can't remember how much of my calculator I have cropped. Like, how much of the... whatchamacallit? How much of the monitor capture, because window capture doesn't work. For some reason, window capture does not work with any native Windows software. Can't remember if I have like a thousands digit ready for... Or maybe I do. I think I tested it to go up to like 10,000, but I didn't anticipate it going anywhere near it. Come on, I can do this. How did I get it, like, on one of the earliest attempts? Like, I was like, what, 120 tries in or so? Whenever I was able to get all the way to the final jump. And I even was like, oh, there's still time to whiff this, still time to whiff this, and then I went and whiffed it. God, did I whiff it. I mean, I still would have had to do the checkpoint clears. But again, the first checkpoint is after the hardest jump in the stage. Dang. I have no comment on that one. I'm at that point now where I just don't have any comments on my stupid deaths. Alright, final try of the day. Right here. What a good try. What a good try. Don't know why I closed that. I'll probably open it later. Okay, let's open up the sticky note. Tries. Open note. Tries. Hey, why'd you change? 1,000. Time. 7:41. 14:07. Save. So, that's probably gonna be where I draw it for the day. I'm glad I came back to try this stage again. I was hoping I'd make it farther. I would like to get this stage beaten eventually. Don't know what my next stream will be, when it'll be, any of that, but I do know that I will stream eventually at some point in the future, as per usual. So, I don't have much of an outro. See you guys next time.